Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a really fascinating journey to completely demystify the art of public speaking. Whether you're stepping into a high-stakes boardroom, maybe presenting a massive project to your peers, or even standing on a brightly lit auditorium stage with hundreds of expectant eyes locked right on you, the ability to communicate your ideas effectively is absolutely your ultimate superpower. So, we're going to break down the exact science of speaker presence, dissect the different speaking types you need to master, and really explore the core anatomy of a truly great presentation.
So here's a question we've all probably asked ourselves after sitting through a mind-numbing, seemingly endless presentation. Why do some speakers just effortlessly captivate us, literally holding our attention on their every word, while others practically put us to sleep in minutes? Well, the secret here is actually incredibly empowering. Stage presence? It's a learned, highly structured skill. It's not just some genetic lottery ticket you're born with. Think of it like learning to play an instrument. Underneath that magnetic, seemingly effortless confidence lies deliberate training, practice, and a mastery of very specific frameworks that anyone, and I mean anyone, including you, can learn.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, the foundations of oratory. 2, choosing your speaking type. 3, 7 elements of public speaking. 4, mastering presence and anxiety. And finally, 5, the power of storytelling.
Starting with Section 1, the foundations of oratory.
To really get how we speak today, we've got to look back. Public speaking certainly isn't some modern invention born out of corporate boardrooms. Tracing all the way back to the 4th century BC, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle defined the very concept of rhetoric, basically laying out the early blueprints for persuasion. Then, by the 1st century BC, the Roman philosopher Cicero took it a step further, categorizing public speaking into distinct purposes like judicial and deliberative. And now, fast forward to the 21st century, and platforms like TED Talks and YouTube have completely transformed the landscape, creating these massive global virtual audiences of millions. Yet, despite moving from stone amphitheaters to our glowing digital screens, the core principles of human connection, they remain exactly the same.
And it's honestly fascinating just how deeply this subject has been analyzed over the millennia. As noted in the Research Journal of English Language and Literature, rhetorical theories of communication have been rigorously applied to everything from scientific discourse to industrial communication since ancient Greece. Those ancient theorists laid the absolute groundwork for how we study human interaction today. It just proves that public speaking isn't about winging it. It is a highly structured, highly studied science that's been pressure tested over centuries.
Now, a massive part of that enduring science is Aristotle's concept of ethos. Ethos is essentially the audience's perception of your credibility as a speaker. It's built through intelligence, character, and goodwill. Simply put, a speaker must establish credibility to be believed at all. If the audience is sitting there wondering, why should I believe a single word you're saying? Well, your ethos is the answer. You build it by demonstrating deep, undeniable subject knowledge. You project a genuine, authentic personality. And crucially, you show goodwill, meaning you make it abundantly clear that you actually care about your audience's time, their needs, and their perspective, rather than just up there inflating your own ego. When an audience feels you're there in service of them, your ethos skyrockets.
Moving right along to Section 2, choosing your speaking type. So the absolute crucial point in determining your intent is that you must deliberately adapt your language and your structure based on exactly who you are presenting to and what your end goal is. Whether you're drafting a highly technical manual for engineers or maybe a broad, visionary overview for new employees, your ultimate goal, what you want the audience to walk away with, dictates the entire shape of your speech. You wouldn't use heavy, complex jargon with a beginner audience, right? You have to structure your message so it acts like a bridge, seamlessly connecting your expertise to their current level of understanding.
And this brings us to a really critical distinction: informative versus persuasive speeches. An informative speech aims purely to educate and present facts. Think of a dry, objective research presentation or a quarterly financial report. The presenter isn't trying to change your worldview, they're simply sharing data. But a persuasive speech? That is a whole different beast. It aims to convince the audience to think, feel, or act in a completely new way. Picture a passionate charity fundraising event or a political rally. Here, the presenter's goal aggressively shifts from merely educating to actively invoking action.
To achieve that kind of transformative action, persuasive speeches rely heavily on what Aristotle called pathos, the appeal to emotion. Pathos is deliberately used to provoke a specific, targeted feeling. We're talking soaring excitement, deep empathy, or even righteous outrage, all to mobilize an audience.
If you want people to donate their hard-earned money to a charity or radically change a deeply held belief, cold hard facts alone, they just aren't going to cut it. Human beings are driven by feelings. You absolutely have to invoke their emotions to effectively call them to action.
All right, Section 3, the 7 elements of public speaking.
It's like a giant puzzle. Every truly effective speaker must juggle 7 essential elements simultaneously to build a complete, cohesive picture. First, you have the speaker. That's you, the source of the message. Then, the message itself, right down to its structure and style. Third is the audience, with all their unique needs and demographics. But it goes way beyond just you and them. You also have the channel, meaning the physical medium, like your microphone or the clarity of your video feed. Then there's feedback, which is constantly reading the crowd's nonverbal body language. Sixth is the noise, both external and internal. And finally the place, which covers the actual auditorium or meeting room conditions. Ignoring even one of these crucial elements can completely unravel your presentation. For instance, if your microphone fails halfway through, a major channel issue, the most brilliant, world-changing message won't save you, simply because no one can hear it.
Let's actually double-click on number 6 for a second, the noise. Noise can certainly be external. Think of a poorly ventilated, stuffy room, or maybe some distracting construction sounds outside. But noise can also be deeply internal. This happens when the speaker themselves is disorganized, passing on a confusing, jumbled message that creates major cognitive overload for the listener. So to actively conquer this noise and keep your audience intensely focused, you need a robust strategy. You must utilize multiple communication channels simultaneously, like beautifully pairing your clear, verbal speech with strong, unambiguous visual slides. And above all, you must ruthlessly repeat your core idea so they cut right through any distraction.
Section 4, Mastering Presence and Anxiety.
Experts at Columbia University actually recommend 5 incredibly powerful physical techniques to build your stage presence. Think of these not just as dry instructions, but literally as a suit of armor you put on before taking the stage. First up, employ a leadership gaze. This means focusing on just one person per thought, which creates a really powerful sense of intimacy and connection, even in a huge room. Second, hold a resolute stance. Keep your feet shoulder-width apart to project absolute stability, avoiding that nervous, distracting pacing back and forth. Third, use emphatic gestures with open palms. This subconsciously signals honesty and openness to your listeners. Fourth, maintain vocal vigor. When you breathe deeply from your diaphragm, you project incredible authority and calm. And finally, utilize focused feedback. Simply recording a video of yourself speaking allows you to easily spot nervous tics and continuously refine these exact behaviors. And you know, all of this physical armor leads us to a truly fascinating psychological hack. Fake it until you make it. When you deliberately force your body to adopt a comfortable, expansive posture, and you project a strong, clear voice, a remarkable biological feedback loop actually occurs. The audience immediately reads those outward signs as cues to your deep credibility, and as a result, they relax and feel comfortable with you. But even more importantly, by consciously acting as if you are already supremely confident, you're actually tricking your own nervous system. You lower your cortisol levels and build genuine, long-lasting confidence over time. Your mind simply follows where your body leads. Now, if you're an introvert or if the mere thought of a microphone makes your palms sweat, here's some incredibly actionable strategies just for you. First, develop pre-speech rituals, or hey, even bring along a lucky charm to help short-circuit your body's primitive fight-or-flight response. I know it sounds silly, but it really works. Also, realize a very comforting truth. Your audience is often just as insecure as you are, and frankly, they're likely a bit distracted by their own lives. They definitely aren't meticulously scrutinizing your every blink or stumble. So embrace your nervousness. It just means you care, and it's completely natural. Practice your speech out loud, but ditch the rigid word-for-word memorization so you sound like a real human being, not a programmed robot. And always integrate a warm smile. It instantly humanizes you, forgives a multitude of minor mistakes, and immediately endears you to the crowd.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, the power of storytelling.
The beating heart of any great presentation is storytelling, and every truly memorable story follows a beautiful, super simple rule of 3. The beginning introduces the situation or a highly relatable challenge. The middle presents the core conflict, the desperate struggle, or the crucial lesson being learned. And the ending reveals the ultimate transformation and the meaningful takeaway. Adhering strictly to this rigid 3-act structure is an absolute lifesaver for speakers. It actively prevents that dreaded, endless rambling that we've all unfortunately suffered through at some point. It keeps your speech impeccably organized and ensures your audience can easily track your logic without you ever getting lost in the weeds. To actually bring that 3-act structure to life, you've got to employ a few very specific techniques.
Always start with a powerful personal story to build immediate, authentic trust right out of the gate. Use real, lived emotion, not theatrical exaggeration, to create a genuine human connection. Paint rich pictures with your words by describing settings vividly, so the audience is virtually visualizing the experience right there alongside you. Keep the narrative painfully simple and hyper-focused. And crucially, end every single story by answering one burning, essential question for your audience. Why does this matter to me? Helping them explicitly see the direct relevance to their own lives is the exact secret that makes your message entirely unforgettable.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question for you today. What story are you going to tell? You now have the full anatomy, the structural frameworks, and the physical armor required to step decisively out of panic and step boldly into power. The stage is waiting for you, the audience genuinely wants you to succeed, and your unique message absolutely deserves to be heard. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I literally cannot wait to see how you apply these powerful strategies to absolutely crush your very next presentation.
If you want to understand all of this in greater depth, step by step, with real-world examples in rupees and a focus on the Indian context, then I have written a comprehensive book on the subject, titled The Freedom of Compounding, The Complete Guide to Personal Finance and Investing to Grow Your Money, Exponentially Through Compounding. It is now available on Amazon. In it, I cover key topics such as compounding, SIPs versus lump sum investments, comparisons among PPF, EPF, and NPS, tax regime decisions, CIBIL scores, and the mindset shifts essential for everyone. It serves as a roadmap, suitable both for beginners and for those who already understand investing but are looking for a structured plan. The link is in the description. Check it out now.